It's PLZ Soccer at the Euros. I'm Peter Martin, Hugh McDonald, Tam McManus, and I'm delighted to say Senior VP at WorldStrides Sports in our old mucker. It really does sound important, doesn't it?
Very important.
Eric McAleer is joining us on the programme. Absolutely delighted to have Eric with us. It's just, it's great, Hugh, when you get old friends back together with you after all these years.
I'd have to find that out, not having any friends at all, Peter, but I'll take your word for it. It's great to have Eric on the show because people might not know the background, but the background to Eric is he's completely immersed in football in the United States, which is a fascinating subject, and he brings students from the United States over to the biggest clubs in Europe, so he's got a great insight to what's happening in clubs in Europe and how they're trying to bring players through.
And I can tell you, a passionate Scot, we've followed Scotland as fans, Eric, which is great. But of course, even better when you can come here at your leisure and look and meet up with a few friends as well, a few business associates.
Of course it is, Peter, and I think for you and I, it's a little bit of deja vu for us. When we go back to Euro 96, I travelled with yourself and some of your other friends, obviously that, catastrophic day at Wembley. But we also had, just talking about it prior to coming on there, we went the night before to it was an infamous Italy versus Czech Republic game. And I think back to that was at Anfield, and then we kind of worked our way down to Wembley and did the whole Wembley experience, but just loads of great memories, and getting back to here and obviously Scotland qualifying is just brilliant to just be a part of that journey. I
don't think he's undersold you as far as the role that you play at WorldStrides Sports, but you also have a great insight and you are a great aid to a number of players who are looking for jobs right across the globe.
I think one of the things that I've tried to do, I've been over there 27 years now, Pierce. I moved to the States in 1997, played here, kind of finished playing, did my A licence down at Inverclyde, and then evolved and kind of ended up in the Washington DC area. And since I've gotten there, one thing I've always tried to do is help out fellow Scots. And there's a great kind of, I would say, a little culture, a kind of subculture of Scots over there that are making the way in the game. That's from younger coaches all the way to, the Bobby Clarks, the Ian Monroes, those people, we kind of formed this little family, especially during COVID. We did a speaker series during COVID, and it was every Friday morning, and people said it was, kind of coming together with their family. So we had a great connection through that, and it brought a lot of the Scots even closer together at that time.
Yeah, we had Ian Monroe on the show a couple of weeks ago. Great,
I saw that.
Great man, and of course the other thing about it, because you've been all across the States, you are probably the one guy who can actually give us an insight into all the clubs that let Tam go in his time in America.
It's funny, I think he peaked at Rochester Rhinos. That was RHINOS. And obviously he chose Rochester Rhinos over Miami, and that kind of told me everything about Tam at that time.
Exactly.
But that was actually when I first connected with Tam back then, and Rochester's a rough place to live during the winter, but beautiful area. Obviously, Tam, you were at Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado Rapids,
if I remember right, great club. And there's, that's where Danny Wilson played. There's been a few others there since then as well. But one thing I've taken great pride in is just kind of connecting all the Scots that are either playing, coaching, doing various bits and pieces over there. And we've got this North American Scottish Coaches Association. There's over 300 members in it. And nothing gives us greater pride than kind of joining that group together.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, anybody who knows where Tam was brought up originally, Rochester is a step up. Anyway, Eric's great to have you with us. Tam, I think we've got so much to look forward to tomorrow night. We're hoping that in the Stuttgart Stadium, which is a fantastic stadium, we'll get the thoughts of Hugh on that shortly, but we've got a match against Hungary where, having spoken to so many members of the Tartan Army, there is a genuine feeling now as they flood into this city that we can do something tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think as the more people drink, I think the more confidence we're getting. That seemed to be the case this morning when we were down there speaking. We arrived here a couple of days ago and there wasn't many Scotland fans at all. I think, where are they all? They're still partying in Munich or Cologne, but today we walk down and you can see them all coming off the train station. The bus, there's tons of Scotland fans now. They're teaming with Scotland fans. A few Hungary fans, but I think they're kind of scunnered that they're probably out now. So the word is that there might be a few more tickets for Scots because a lot of the Hungarians have went home. So I think you're going to find in this stadium there's going to be the vast majority are Scotland fans, which can only help the team as well. But No, it will be a tough game. Hungary are a good outfit. They've shown in different periods of both games that they are a good side. But I think if we can play in the front foot, press high, use with energy that we did the other night, be brave at the back, keep a kind of high line and get after Hungary, then if we score the first goal, Hungary, they've not got a lot to play for. I don't think 3 points gets you through. So I think if we can score the first goal, which will obviously be important, we can go and win the game and get through.
Yeah, what have you made of Scotland, Eric?
I think the big thing for me, I went to the game the other night, and first, and I think we all agreed on this before we came on here, is the Tartan Army's just been unbelievable being a part of that, and it's a very cliche, but the 12th man was, I don't know that I've ever experienced anything like that national anthem the other night.
Yeah, it's the best one ever,
and
isn't
it? It was goosebumps, and you look at, if they can, if they can start in the front foot, as Tam said, and ride that wave and get an early start, you're hoping they can get off to that kind of start. Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned the national anthem because of our contacts, we, by hook or by crook, had to try and get tickets, Hugh, for Scotland-England at Euro 96, and we managed to get them from the Azerbaijan FA. I am not kidding you, right? But we are in the England end, which wasn't good, Hugh, I have to tell you. While the Scottish fans are singing "Rocking" all over the world, we are standing in amongst England fans, and then on comes the God Save the Queen and everything, and they've got the St George's cross. Oh, I'll tell you, I felt uneasy.
But I don't know if you remember 1 minute before half time we got a penalty. And we all jump up. There's 7 of us in kilts and face painting the whole lot, and before you know it, we've got 7,000 England fans, kind of growling upon us. So that didn't end up too well.
No. Just as well, Gary McAllister missed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and they let us know he'd missed it as well. But it'll be different because obviously we're going to look at it from a press perspective and from the Scotland fans' perspective. I've luckily enough commentated in that stadium when Celtic played them and when Rangers played them, Hugh. It's a fantastic stadium.
There's not a dud stadium out of the 10, let's be honest, and in fact I think Germany could have gone deeper. There was another 5 stadiums off the top of my head that are capable of holding a major championship. One of the ones I think is very unlucky. Back to Stuttgart, what they've done with Stuttgart, you see, is that it was initially they had a big athletics strike round it, and they decided, no, we don't want this. We'll have to refurbish it, redo it, redesign it, and they've done it brilliantly. And it's so brilliantly as we know in Scotland that Hampden have looked at what Stuttgart have done with their stadium and taken a step back when they've looked at the price of doing so. But it's a wonderful stadium for the fans tomorrow night, on the edges of town, served by the underground, served by buses. You'll get out to it, you'll get back in. Terrific stadium. It'll be an amazing atmosphere because it's all on the line for Scotland tomorrow, and everybody who's travelled knows that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we tend to forget, Eric, we've all mentioned the fact we didn't expect to beat Germany. We wanted effort. We didn't get the effort. We didn't certainly get a plan that got us further up the field. But as ever with Scotland fans, and we're all, as we say, Monday morning quarterbacks, we got the effort. We got the point that we were always thinking we were going to get against Switzerland.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's been said a lot, it was a bit of a free hit against Germany. I think the thing for me is, we were disappointing on the night, but I thought Germany were exceptional. I thought they were outstanding, and my perception of Germany from that game has risen a little bit. I think they'll be there or thereabouts at the end.
Yeah.
We were disappointing, and it was great to see the reaction the other night. I loved, that Gilmer come back and what Gilmer's contribution was, and the move him again. So I think those changes, were great, and look forward to tomorrow. I think tomorrow will be huge. I think everybody recognises the ramifications, and it's a big chance for us.
Is it too much for us to expect a wee bit more from John McGinn?
Definitely not. You look at his stature of where he plays, and captain, at that club, and the season he's just come off of. He's our talisman right now. Obviously McTominay plays a slightly different role, but I look at McTominay and the levels that they've been at over the last season or two, and there's big expectations on them. But it's funny, even with the Tartan Army the other day, you hear the John McGinn song on a very, very regular And you wonder about the pressure on him.
Yeah.
You know, that he might be carrying some weight on his shoulders because all of a sudden he's the man.
Yeah, and Kerry was out chatting to people, Tam, in Stuttgart today, ran into Scott McKenna's dad. He is a man who's obviously proud of his son. I think he's a guy who's going to get the start because of the injury to Keiran Tierney, which is a huge disappointment to us. But McKenna is an able deputy, maybe not as good a player, but he's certainly used to that position more than Tierney.
Yeah, I don't think he'll let us down, Peter. I think he came on, the other night against, and he done well against Switzerland. He got forward when he could. I think he's a big threat at set plays. I think he's obviously more of a threat than Keiran. I think Keiran offers obviously more going forward, getting to the byline stuff. But I like him. He's out of contract as well. He's in the shop window for himself. He's looking for a club. He's just left Nottingham Forest. There's a lot of links to both Celtic and Rangers in Scotland. So he's got good pace. One thing about us at the back, we've got pace, which is going to enable us to play a little bit higher. I don't know who Hungary will play as the main striker, the big Viking guy up front who's come on a few times. I don't know if they'll start him, but he's not the quickest. So I think it will enable us to play a high line and try and play the game in their half and condense the pitch. If we do that, we've done that really well at times against Switzerland. We condensed the pitch. It gave us less, amount of space to cover and run into. If we do that, we play a high line. We know we've got pace at the back end, and over the top we can get back in and cover. So, no, I think McKenna, he will play. I don't think he'll let anyone down.
Yeah, Ralston, I think the boy himself, knowing him, he will just get his head down and think, I've got to work hard. Had a better second half. It was one of those incidents that many of us have witnessed before. Alan Hansen ran into Willie Miller against the CIS. We all know what happened there. Ruffy could have taken out Shengelia and kept us in the tournament, but he didn't. So Anthony Ralston just got to put it to the back of his mind, Hugh, and we get on with it. Will he stick with him?
I think he will stick with him, and I think Anthony Ralston will not be affected by that. You've got to look at the mentality of these guys now. Anthony Ralston, all season and the season before last, has always been under pressure. Even when he's never been a regular Celtic right fullback, so he's been more or less living in the shadow of two fullbacks in the last few years. When he thought he might get his chance, Celtic going by Alistair Johnson. So he's always been in a state of behind a black ball, of a state of pressure, of a state of being, he would think, underappreciated. So I don't think that affects him at all. And when he does come into the Celtic team, he's made terrific, almost like we talked about talisman there, he's made talismanic contributions to Celtic. You talk about the goal at Ross County, the tackle at Hibs that set up that Adam Ida thing. So I've got no fears about his mentality whatsoever. I think that whole slate will be wiped clean for him. He'll go in tomorrow saying, that's another game under my belt. I think there was he only had 9 starts last season. So it'll be another start for him. And I don't think Steve Clarke, we've known over the years, he's not a man that jiggles about with formations or, it takes a lot to change his team. So the short answer is, I expect him to start.
Would you like him to be a bit more adventurous, Eric? Because we thought maybe with 10 minutes to go against Switzerland, because we had a kind of a grip with the midfield with McGregor and Gilmer, I thought he might have thrown on Forrest to try and get supply to Lawrence Shanklin. I
think we were all thinking the same, or hoping for the same thing. But you look at Steve Clarke's body of work through the years, he's, he wants. I think deep down that's what we want to see, some of that stuff.
Do you remember the days of 2 strikers? I mean, honestly,
good old days.
We were looking and we're thinking to ourselves, anybody ever play 2 strikers?
Yeah, that's, you think back to the Scotland teams in the past, the strikers we had. And some exceptional nights at Hampden with the 2 striker days.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't happen these days. The game has changed, but nevertheless, what's at stake hasn't changed for Scotland. If they defeat Hungary, then it would take the most painful of mathematical equations to rule us out, Hugh.
I think there's actually, if you look on Twitter and you talk to the Tartan Army in the town today, as I did, went for a wee walk and talked to a couple of guys in the cafe, and there's guys with algorithms now,
2 points can get us through.
2 points and 2 points and a roll and a double 6.
They didn't go to the same nightclubs as Eric and I, by the way.
We certainly didn't have those in Clydebank here. No, we did not.
So 4 points. I think we can even us with our luck not getting through. I think our victory takes us definitely through. I think it'll be really difficult. I think
even with nothing at stake for them.
I still think there's some. I think there's two things. I think there's a bit at stake. They'll go in thinking at 3 points, if they win, that they're still in the hunt for third place. And I think another thing's very important. You've got to look at the heritage of Hungarian football. It's very proud heritage. You know, Hungary could look at themselves at one time as the greatest football nation in the world. You know, for some of our younger viewers will think that's incredible, but the years of Puskás and Hedeguti, they remember that in Budapest and further. They've got a wonderful pride in it. And you've got to remember, they came here, Peter, unbeaten in their group stages, having also in the European nations beaten England and Germany. So they came here not to finish fourth in the group.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's hope we step up to the plate. Let's hope that we actually get to a situation where we can not only replicate what we put in against Switzerland, but go a stage above that, because I think when we talk about levels, Callum McGregor mentioned to us in the after-match press conference that Scotland need to go up a level again. I just wonder, Tam, if they are capable of taking it up to that next level, pushing not only the same style as the game against Switzerland, but then a stage further of putting them on that back foot for more than what we witnessed against Switzerland, if you've to listen to the players and what they've been suggesting.
No, I think there's more to come from this team, Peter. I think we spoke about McKenna earlier. I think he's been a little bit disappointing in terms of his contribution technically. I think you're always going to get 100% out of John McGinn. He's going to run about. He set the tone in the first couple of minutes. Went and pressed somebody, got a tackle in, gets the fans behind him, wins a corner. No, he set the tone, John, just by going and pressed and running. So you're always going to get that for John, but I think in terms of quality, I think there's more to come. There's more to come for McTominay. Thought he did a decent game the other night. There's more to come for him. I think there's more to come for Callum McGregor, Billy Gilmour. So I think we are capable. Shea Adams, all the big, there's 4 or 5 year big players, and I think there's all more to come for them, Peter, in terms of a performance. So if they all click, and if you're getting 7, 8, 9 out of 10 for the guys tomorrow night, then I think we'll win the game.
Okay, just before we go, always like to broaden our horizons on the tournament as a whole and looking at some of the other teams. Tell us what you think about Scotland. How do you think they're going to fare in the Stuttgart Stadium against Hungary? Is it going to be a comfortable win? Is it going to be our usual nail biting, or is there going to be more misery and pain to reflect on? Give us your thoughts in the comments section. Over and above that, hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thank you to so many of you out here in Germany and certainly right across our social media, enjoying our content and telling us how much they enjoy the unique video content we've supplied throughout the season. And right across our social media channels, you can like, share and follow as well. We're live on YouTube and Twitter today. Hit that subscribe button. Just before we go, overall, 2 dullest games I said to you yesterday, Tam, were England. The worst game I've ever seen was last night, Netherlands. That game against France was torture.
Yeah, I think it was 2 teams that were quite happy with the point, Peter. I think the 4 points takes both through. I think France have got Poland in the last game, which I think they'll beat them. Holland have got Austria. Austria looked decent, in the earlier game. No Mbappe for France. They were a little bit toothless up front, but I think Holland and France will be there or thereabouts as well. I thought it was a better game than a 0-0, Peter.
Yeah. Okay then. Well, you're easily pleased. I thought it was murder. It was hard to watch, Eric.
It was, I agree with you, and I thought there might have been a turning point with that VAR decision.
Yeah.
I thought that might,
I thought it was a goal, did you?
So did I. Was he interfering with play? Where he, and that could have turned the game. You were waiting for a goal to ignite the game, and I was hoping that certainly that was a turning point. But to Tam's point, certainly expecting a lot better than what it was.
Who's your choice to win it?
Certainly not England, but
And by the way, can I just emphasise, it's not because you are anti-English.
Nah.
It's an observation that we all think
that
they're not good enough.
You look at the talent they've got, Peter. The Cole Palmer on the bench. You look at the talent that they have, and you look at look to me is just a group of individuals right now. There's no synergy. There's no collective, group that are making great strides. I look at, obviously Harry Kane, but performance-wise and quality-wise, it's just been a disappointment. I look at Declan Rice. He's had a brilliant season with Arsenal and just been disappointing the first couple of games.
So who's your money on to win it?
For me, I look at Germany. In the host nation, they got off to a brilliant start. Obviously, we didn't really give them much, but I look at they're playing at home. They've got a lot of stars that are just coming to a peak point in their career. I think they might be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, it's certainly a different one that we've. Obviously, I think two of us are France. Anybody
Portugal.
else? Portugal is one that
me,
has been mentioned as well. Who do you think is going to win the overall tournament? Give us your thoughts on that. Just touching on England, by the way, the pundits, the written press, they've started going into what I call, they're at DEFCON 2 now, Hugh. They've got another level to go where there's turnip seeds on the manager. They'll be slaughtering him, but they've started to really put the boot in, and most of it has been down to they don't know what style, what plan Gareth Southgate it has in place, and they're now at the point where they're saying, well, Harry Kane isn't on the high press, so they're questioning his contribution as well. That's when they're starting to panic and maybe realising we're not as good as we first thought.
I know, and it's like a repetition almost of tournament. There's a tournament process that England goes through. They're the greatest team that's ever played football. They're the golden generation who never win any gold. And then the managers, the greatest things is sliced bread, and then it just goes click when they meet reality, and then click when they meet a further reality. The worrying thing for me is how Gareth Southgate is speaking at the moment.
When you mentioned Calvin Phillips, that was gobsmacked.
Well, you feel that somebody in the press office said, don't say we're missing Calvin Phillips. That's not going to do it. It's also come out and said that his team's too tired to press properly. Yeah. And even if that is true, and it might be true after, a lot of these guys have played a lot of games in the elite leagues, and there might be an element of truth in it. Why would you want to say that to the press? Why would you want to say that in front of your opponents?
Yeah.
It's all gone very strange. The thing is, Eric points out as well, I didn't ever fancy them to win it because I don't fancy the manager, I don't fancy the goalkeeper, and I don't fancy the centre backs.
Yeah. But apart from that, they're all right.
That's the funny thing. Apart from that, they're very good.
I know I'm going to take it in the neck here for this one, but I've said to you before, you love him because he played for Borussia Dortmund, and you've seen him up close. Bellingham is a special player, but he's not truly world class for me now, Eric. At this moment, he will become world class in my mind. But world class players in big games domestically and in internationals, they change the games. Yes. They win the games. They do something different. I didn't see him in the Champions League final do that, and I certainly haven't seen him do it for England yet.
And I think you look at that midfield, between Foden and Bellingham and Rice, and I think we all expected something big from them. You look at who they're keeping on the bench, and Bellingham, I agree with you, he's certainly not world class yet. You look at the price tag attached to him, there's big expectations. He's got a long way to go. He's got a long way to go. But I also look at the senior players, and Harry Kane. I look at the players that have been. I agree with Hugh. The centre backs for me, the jury's still out. The goalkeeper for me, he's certainly not world class.
No.
And so there's a few areas that I really question.
Yeah, Tam, I wouldn't like to be, if they go out early or unexpectedly, I still think
I wouldn't write them off yet, Peter.
Yeah, you've got a wee bit about them, haven't you?
I think they'll go into the tournament. I think that listen, the group stage is just about getting through. Just get through the group stages and knockout football. I think England are capable of knockout football, of beating any of the teams. But he has to find a solution to the press. They're sitting in, they've got serious pace in the wide areas. Got Harry Kane who doesn't want to go and press, so they're sitting off teams. And I think if they had someone, Watkins, something like that, in that forward that would go and press, I think they would be a better team. And I'm not advocating Harry Kane being out the team, but I think that is an area where he's got to find a solution to. Are they a counter-attacking team or are they a high press team? I don't think they're either.
Well, let me give you this one line, and Hugh maybe wants to contribute to this. This is an age-old problem for England, because if you've got one of the best strikers in the last 5 years who finds the goal, then how about building your side around him instead of you worrying about an overall plan? Make it that everybody supports him because he can score goals. This is the same dilemma they had with a Keegan, with a Hoddle, with a Gascoigne, with a Waddle, with a Lineker.
Yeah.
They just slaughtered them, and Lineker went on and became top goal scorer in the 1986 World Cup.
Yeah, I think he's got. This is why I think the manager's the problem. And he's obviously a nice guy. Everybody I know in the press that talks to him says he's a great guy, and he's obviously got the camp. The players in the camp love him. But if you look at England, even in the progress to semi-finals into a final at the Euros, who do they beat? And they always come up against a top-class team, and they never win. And they never win because they don't get the little things right. And the little things, the things like, you know, people in the final of the Euros, they're 1-0 up against an Italy team, which was not the greatest team in the world. We know that because they failed to qualify for the World Cup just after that. But Mancini outthought them, changed the team. Mancini made the tweaks, and you just wonder, as a top level, can Southgate make the tweaks to change a game against a great side? And does he have the cojones to say, for example, you know what? Harry Kane might be the greatest striker in the world, and I think there's a case for that, but he's not the greatest striker in my setup, so I think we should play Carlton Cole.
Cole Palmer.
Sorry, Carlton Cole. Cole Palmer, where I think we should play Ollie Watkins. Big managers in World Cups in Euros have made those decisions, Peter, in the past. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would always keep Kane in the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it's all about opinions. You'll get them on PLZ Soccer, right across our social media and our main YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. Just before we go, Eric, is there any chance you could, I mean, I know that you've got skills, you work with a great company in WorldStrides Sports. Is there any chance with all your magic and your contacts that you could get McManus into management? Could you get him out there to America? It's just my way of saying, is there any chance you can take him off our hands?
I tell you what, Louis, mate,
I'll be waiting for the sevens.
give me 18 months on that, Louis, Peter, and I'll do my best.
Yeah,
I'll do my very best.
It's a brilliant. Eric's great at giving you a custard pie just when you don't think it's a custard pie. Anyway, listen, Eric, we wish you well. It's a great company, and we'll love when you come over and talk football to us and all the people that you're helping. Coaching across in America, and listen, not only America but right across the globe as well. Great to have Eric McAleer. As ever, Hugh's going to offer us an insight into Hungary, which you can catch up on our YouTube channel. You'll see some of our fans in the Tartan Army. We've been giving them some prizes in the quiz. A lot of fun with some great fans right across the board. It's amazing how many Hibbies we've run into, Tam.
There is. There's a lot of Hibs fans, a lot of Dundee United, Aberdeen, St Mirren. So that all sorts of clubs are here.
Yeah,
Bar Celtic, Rangers.
Yeah, well, I've seen a few Celtic and Rangers fans, but they've been tagged, and we're just monitoring them as we speak to you. I'm joking, don't bother complaining, I'm having a laugh. Anyway, thanks to Hugh, thanks to Tam, thanks to Eric McAleer, and from myself, Peter Martin. Don't forget, we'll be back with you tomorrow ahead of the big game, and hopefully Scotland will get all 3 points against Hungary. Thank you for listening and watching, and don't forget, it's Tam's favourite catchphrase: wherever you are, we are.
He's done it again.